Hello and welcome. I'm Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and you're listening to the podcast, Building the Premier Accounting Firm. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you as an individual start and build a successful accounting business, offering quality accounting services and doing so confidently and competently. In this podcast, we cover a variety of topics ranging from marketing, sales, offering services that in essence assist the clients beyond what they expected, and then at the same time, get you paid what you're worth as you're working efficiently and profitably. Now, I invite you to obviously listen to this episode and the many others that we have, as well as subscribe to this podcast to get the most out of this experience. Now, I, as your host, have been doing this for more than 20 years, working with accounting professionals, and I'm excited to have as a guest today, April Pinheiro. She happens to be someone that has worked from home with two adorable children that I'm sure you're going to perhaps hear in this episode as both Gray and Grace. She has a deep faith in God, which leads her to actually become a bookkeeper. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that path came together. But she started in the bookkeeping industry as a night auditor for hotels. And basically every night she would balance the books for the hotel. So with that, she did it for about 10 years. So she decided to take time off to work with her or be with her son and daughter. And in 2019, she felt that God led her to get her first client. So she officially opened her business in 2020, and having been working exclusively with trade businesses since then, she's realized that she can really make a difference. Now, she recently became pure bookkeeping certified and is now happily able to actually say she's audit-proof bookkeeping for the trade. So with that, April, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, this is going to be quite fun. You know, I'm familiar with a lot of what you're sharing. I just actually had a conversation with someone who was also in the hotel industry. So I'm thinking we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But I want to go back a little further than what you were sharing. You were explaining that both God and the trade kind of brought you together. How's that connection made?
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom because I had left the hotel industry to raise my son. And being a stay-at-home mom, I had a lot of extra time on my hands. So I would, I got very involved in my church. And as such, my faith in God really grew. And what ended up happening was one day I was standing at the kitchen after having the night before discussed with my husband how we really were having a difficult time making the ends meet. So I was standing at my kitchen washing my sink, washing my dishes, and I got a feeling or an unction from God. And God told me to contact one of my friends and to do her bookkeeping. And I was like, this is probably not a good idea. I haven't been in bookkeeping for, like 2 or 3 years. I'm not really doing that anymore. I'm like, are we really sure? And so I reached out to my friend, and it turned out that she was drowning in her books. She had no idea what to do. So I did her bookkeeping, and then she referred me to someone else, and then somebody else referred me, and my business just grew. And so now I went from having one person in 2019 to just having signed my 8th person, and it's all via word of mouth and through God.
I love this. You know, one of the things that I think a lot of the listeners can relate to is there's so much that can be done from a deliberate point of view when it comes to marketing and selling. But oftentimes, like you just shared, it's more of that intuition, that prompting that we get that causes us to reach out to someone that maybe we haven't thought of before. And it leads to a conversation that maybe is something unexpected, but lo and behold, it's that coincidental, spontaneous event that causes us to maybe get that client that we didn't really realize we were going to get.
It led me in a direction that I really had no plans to go in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you didn't foresee where this was going to take you. And obviously you're on a path now that's gotten you all the clients that you have today. And I'm sure you'll get many, many more. So as you've started your business, I'm curious, you got your first client. What did you intend it to be? Was it something you just meant it to be a supplemental income, or was it something you always expected to eventually be full-time and being what it is now?
To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting it to be anything. I started it thinking I was just helping out a friend. And when I finished her books for 2019, she said to me, you have to do this. I will pay you to do this. You have to." So I prayed a lot about it, and I thought, and I made a promise to God and I said, God, if this is what you want me to do, you have to bring the people to me. I will not advertise my business until you tell me to do so.
Okay, so when you take on this first client,
Mhm.
how was it first taking on the client, setting up their books, taking care of the back work that they had? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
It was very scary. To be 100% honest with you, it was very scary.
Uh-huh.
Um, I, well, there was a lot of questions. So I had to really dive deep into bookkeeping and kind of relearn what I needed to know. So I had to take a couple of online training courses and find ways to better myself. And then what ended up happening was she owns a construction company, so I ended up becoming extremely familiar with construction, and
Hmm.
then in turn, I became extremely familiar with the trades within construction, so electrical and plumbing and things of that nature. And then I began to really narrow down my field into just that area. So God had a plan.
Oh, yeah. So as you started to narrow down your focus, obviously you're niching down into that industry and becoming a specialist in that space. One of the things that I find interesting is I've had so many of these conversations, and what you're sharing is familiar. There's a lot of people that come into the accounting and booking being very deliberately. They have degrees, they have careers that lead them to actually start and build their business. But like you, there's a lot of people that just find that there's different things along their path of life that just leads them down this journey that they're on. And lo and behold, years later, they've got a thriving business that's working with clients, offering accounting services, and they're very happy. So it's quite impressive. So let me ask you this. Now that you're into this, you have clients. Give me 2 sentences that now describes best what you do for your clients.
I can give you one sentence.
Give me one sentence then.
I provide audit-proof bookkeeping for tradespeople. And by that, what that really means is that I take all of your transactions in your bookkeeping and I make sure that should you ever have the unfortunate luck or misfortune or should you ever end up audited,
Hmm.
I make it so that your transactions are easily provable and there's no question as to what you did and how this expense came to be.
So when you actually do this, you're providing a very specific benefit to your clients. I mean, they're not just paying you to have the transactions recorded or to receive financials. You're giving them the peace of mind that their books are audit proof.
Yes. And you wouldn't believe how many clients have said to me what a relief it is not to have to constantly worry about their bookkeeping and their financing. I have saved them hours every single day on their life to just concentrate on expanding their business.
Well, one of the things that I like about what you're offering there is it's a very specific need that's being met by you that many business owners face. And to come to an accounting professional that realizes that there's that specific need and can meet it, that's a huge accomplishment because we're all recognizing within the accounting profession that it is more than just providing the financial reports that they're looking for. And so creating that audit proof environment, that peace of mind that they're ultimately going to get from working with you is very important. I appreciate that. So you work with tradespeople.
Mhm.
You've got about 8 clients as you shared right now. You've clearly said that your secret for success is your relationship and dependence on God, your
Mhm.
faith in God.
Absolutely.
Um, why do you think you're the expert at this? Why do you think that your clients see you as being that person that they can trust?
I would say that the reason why people think that they can trust me is because I'm honest. Um, I will tell you what I do and don't know, and I'll be right up front about it. Um, I never try to give a client or a prospective client the impression that I know more than I do. So if they ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm just honest and I say, listen, that's not something that I have an expertise in. Let me either find someone who does, or I will find the answer for you and we'll learn about this together. Or I can refer them to someone who does have that sort of expertise. I'm not greedy about my business, and my clients can see that and feel that.
Perfect. I love that. Now, One of the things that I think is very important is you've obviously addressed earlier the marketing and selling. You put it in God's hands. You said, bring the clients and I'll do what I can. So you're not being too deliberate in the marketing necessarily. But when it comes to accounting services, help us understand what you do. Do you do taxes? Do you do much in the way of, say, advisory or CFO type services, bookkeeping? What is it that you offer?
So I specifically am a bookkeeper. I always make it very clear to my clients, I'm not a tax accountant. I am not a CPA. I do not have that training, certification. I do understand for the most part what is and what is not deductible and how much you can take in these certain deductions. But I always tell my clients that they need to go through an accountant for any tax questions. So I provide bookkeeping, and I also provide some business coaching in the way of the Profit First method by Mike Michalowicz.
Mm-hmm.
I adore him. I think that he has really hit the nail on the head when it comes to eradicating entrepreneur poverty.
I have to agree with you. Working with and knowing Mike and Ron for a number of years now, it's excellent what they've brought into the accounting profession or even just the small business world, simply because I think it's simplified for the business owner where their priorities need to lie. And so obviously making profit deliberate and intentional is a big deal. In fact, if you'll notice right over my shoulder, it's the second to the last item mentioned there, which is improving profit. Now, with all that being said, I liked that you're having success offering bookkeeping services because sometimes people wonder, do I need to be a full service accounting business where I'm offering all the accounting related services? Can I just do taxes? Can I just do bookkeeping? And it's fascinating that it's anybody's business. It's your business and you get to decide what those services are and provide those. And you're doing very well just staying within the bookkeeping focus. And I think that's excellent. Let's define success. For you, what is success? Everybody starts, runs their business, but they do it for various reasons and they see success differently. But for you, what is it?
So my definition of success is pretty basic, actually. I want to be able to not have to worry about paying my bills. So that's my first thing. But really, more deeply into that, my definition of success is being able to have the time to raise my children in the way that I want, in the manner that I think that they should be raised. So that for me, that means being able to homeschool them. It means being able to have an active life in our community through community service. It means being able to have an active life in our church. And it means being able to spend time with my husband as well and doing all these things together as a family. And anything that really helps me to do those things is my definition of success.
I love it. You know, quality time is so important, and your ability to do those things, you're definitely going to leave a legacy. You're going to impact people's lives. You're going to make a difference. And obviously, you mentioned the most important people, which is your children and husband. And so I think that's amazing. Let's talk about people themselves, though. How do people get in their own way as you're working maybe with your clients, or maybe it's working with people that are in your life? How are they getting in their way and maybe inhibiting success?
Oh, there's that's a loaded question. Um, I think that there's a couple of ways that people can get in their own way. They focus too much on one thing. I think that if you're focusing too much in one area, you might just put on blinders and not be able to see anything else. If you become too consumed and too focused, you're not going to be able to look up and see that business requires many different facets. It's almost like a diamond that has been beautifully shaped and cut. So there are many different facets in your business. There's the customer service side, there's the marketing side, there's the actual work and the mechanics and the business modeling of your job. There's business planning. So there's a lot to do as an entrepreneur. And I think sometimes people they do two things. Either they get too focused on one area or they're all over the place trying to do everything at once. So I find it best to just do a piece here and a piece there and kind of try to maintain balance in everything that you do.
Perfect. I have to agree with you. There's a good deal of things that we have to work on as business owners, and sometimes what happens is we get on our own way because maybe we gravitate to what we enjoy and like and avoid what may be uncomfortable or difficult.
Hmm.
But yet the business needs us to perform those things, and as we work with our clients, they need to have that type of understanding as well, that we're going to push them to possibly address things that need attention that they're
Hmm.
not excited to take care of, but yet, especially from a financial point of view, it needs attention. And then the same is true, obviously, in our own business. There are things that we enjoy, and therefore we put off or procrastinate things that really do need attention. And if you're not looking at or reevaluating your business, it's referred to as working on your company on a
Hmm.
regular basis, you have a tendency of really letting things slip. And as systems degrade, as processes start to fade, things are going to unravel, and it's going to cause you more heartache and problems in the future. So yes,
Absolutely.
we sometimes get in our own ways. Yeah. All right. So here's a question for you. Imagine, for example, it's maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Hmm.
and you were just going to begin this journey. You're getting the prompting to reach out to your friend. She says, yes, take over my books. I want you to look back. What advice would you give yourself, knowing what you've been able to achieve so far and the journey that you've already been on? What would you tell yourself just as everything was beginning?
Trust the process. I would say trust the process. And the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to ask for help. Find someone that has already been successful in what you are trying to do and ask them for how they did it, ask them for their advice. And then if they're not willing, don't ask just one person, ask many people, because the more advice that you get, the more well-rounded out your business is going to become.
Perfect. Now, you obviously are working with your children, raising them, homeschooling them. There's others that may be listening that are likewise trying to juggle a few of these other things in their lives. What advice would you give them as you found opportunities to run your business, grow your business, take care of your clients while also taking care of your children?
Oh, there are going to be days where you have to put one thing on hold and come back to it. So, what I mean by that is some days you're going to have to put your business on hold, not for long, just for the day, because your children are going to need you. And then vice versa. There's going to be days when you're going to have to put your homeschooling on hold and focus more on the business. Everything in life is all about balance. So you have to find how to spin the plates. And so there's always a lot of plates, and you just have to find how to keep that balance and go back and forth and spin them.
Very good. I like the plate analogy.
Yeah. And every once in a while, a plate drops, and you know what? That's okay. Just pick it up and start again.
There you go. Now,
Yep.
let's talk about your clients. You've got a success story working with clients. You've made a difference. Share with us something that you feel your clients experienced having you take care of their bookkeeping needs.
Um, so I have had my one client who's been with me since the beginning, since 2019, and every time I talk to her, she says that bookkeeping is my gifting, because it's not something I do research, and I do study on bookkeeping and whatnot. But when I first started, it was all intuition, and a lot of bookkeeping kind of is intuition, for me anyways. So I just kind of, I call it a knowing from God. I just kind of know how to do it. um, so she says it's my gift. And I've had other people also say the same thing to me, that they believe that this is a gift. So I guess I give people confidence and security.
I like that. Now, give me a challenge that you faced in your business and how you overcame it and the lesson you learned from it.
I had a challenge actually in marketing and sales. I was struggling because I was kind of at this plateau in my business early in 2020, and I wasn't sure if this was really what God wanted me to do. So I prayed to him, and I asked him what I should be doing, if anything, in marketing. And he responded by having a friend reach out to me, an old friend that I hadn't spoken to in probably 5 or 6 years, just out of the blue, reached out to me. And her specialty is in marketing. And so she started giving me tips and training on how to better market my business. And so I took that as God's way of telling me how to overcome marketing. And she had some really amazing tips that were simple and inexpensive to apply to my business.
And what would those tips be?
So the first one that she gave me was so obvious, it kind of blew my mind. She said, "Have you contacted your local chamber of commerce?" And I was like, no. And she goes, "Well, contact your local chamber of commerce. Join them up. They have BNI groups that you can join." Not only do they have that, but if you call them and you talk to them, you can get a list of everybody in your town who's in, and the businesses in your town, and you can start contacting them to see if they are looking for your services.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very inexpensive way to start advertising your business. So that was kind of a no-brainer. And then she was like, "And you also have in your town a local small business agency. Have you contacted them? Because they'll do referrals for you all day long." And I was like, So yeah. So because she has all this training in marketing, she just gave me some really amazing tips, and those are two of the ones that really proved to be very beneficial. I think I've gotten 3 referrals from doing those kinds of partnerships.
Well, the thing I like about what you just shared is they're tried and proven. One of the things that I continually experience as I work with accounting professionals is it's as if they think they're doing it for the first time. Nobody's done this before. I've got to figure it out from scratch. I have to be the creative one to determine what is the best strategy to start and build my business. I'm like, no, no, no. People have done this for a long time. There are some tried and proven methods. And honestly, there are many that are inexpensive and effective. And what you just shared are a few of those. Networking typically comes to the top. You mentioned BNI. There's some other organizations like the LATIP that are out there and so forth. So it's just essentially, in addition to the Chamber of Commerce, like you said, where do you go to find the business owners? And as you find the business owners, how do you then connect with them? And if you can learn, it's that traditional 30-second commercial, that elevator pitch is what some people would refer to it as. You've come up with your selling point, your benefit, the audit proof your business. So it's all of these things that in time, as you learn and you implement, people start to realize, oh my heavens, you're a legitimate business owner. You have a specific service. You offer a particular value. I can obviously see how I may be able to benefit. All of these things start to come together, and marketing is something that should be deliberate. Sales also needs to be something that you intentionally do. So here's something that I'd like to ask then. So you're in a position where you're marketing. Which do you find more difficult? The marketing to try and find a potential customer, or the selling, educating them, offering them the services, asking for the business? Which do you find more difficult?
For me personally, it's marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother always said I could sell ice to an Eskimo. Um, so sales kind of come naturally for me. I think I just have that personality, and I make strong connections with people. But for me, marketing, I had no idea how to market what I had. This audit proof bookkeeping didn't come to me at first. It took me almost 2 years to build that. And then I started it off by just trying to sell the fact that I treated you more than just like a number. So my marketing strategy has evolved as my business has grown. But that is most definitely the hardest part for me.
Okay, so if you're in a position now where marketing is a little bit more difficult because the sales are easier. You use the ice to an Eskimo example. What are some of the marketing strategies that you've found have been most effective? You mentioned chamber, you mentioned BNI. Is there anything that you're like, this is something I need to do daily or weekly?
Yeah, never underestimate the power of social media. Really, I think that a lot of people forget that social media is out there and usable, and it is. There are many people, such as myself, that do not care for Facebook. I don't have a personal Facebook account. I only have a business Facebook account. But Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram really is a great place to find the up and coming generation, and Snapchat. All of these places are amazing places to get sales from. And when you're utilizing them, the really important thing to remember is that you need to make your brand, whatever your brand is, you need to make it relatable to your target audience. So it has to be something that is interesting to them or solves a pain point or they can relate to in their industry.
I love this. This is perfect because you're right. Some people have an aversion to the social media. They don't want to get involved. They feel like it's intrusive. Maybe they have to be too personable and they'd rather stay more professional. So there's a lot of things that can cause someone to be standoffish from using social media for business purposes. But you're right. Accounting is a personable business. We need to have relationships with our clients. They do see us as individuals as we should see them as well. And so there needs to be that rapport and connection somehow, something that draws them to us. And then at the same time, nothing's wrong with being relatable. Nothing's wrong with being approachable. So if those things are there that you have within social media that you can draw, especially to the younger crowd, an interest in speaking with you about your services, that's just an additional revenue source to complement your marketing strategies. Let's talk about something else, which I'm interested to ask. Obviously, as you started your business, your husband, I'm assuming, was supportive. How has he played a good part in helping you as you've grown your business?
Oh, my husband is an amazing person. I am or was a serial entrepreneur, constantly starting new businesses and pursuing them for a little while, and then figuring out that it didn't work for us and moving on.
Okay.
So, yeah, every endeavor I've ever had, he's always been really supportive of. Whether it is me asking him to take the children for out to the playground or whatever for a little while so I could focus on work, whether it's helping by making dinner when he comes home, or whether it is just being there as a sounding board for ideas on pricing and marketing and how to make a better connection with my audience. He's always been there as a true partner to me.
Very good. Well, I'm happy to hear that because when you're both starting and building your business, it's nice to have that type of connection and support with the people that are around us. And when you've got a spouse that's willing to actually support you like that, it makes things a lot easier because there are going to be challenging times, and it's nice to know somebody has a belief and trust in you and is willing to kind of support you through those hard times. So that's amazing. I like that. Now, I'm going to ask one last question, and then we're going to work towards wrapping this up. What is something that you're thankful for?
Oh, goodness. I have so much that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for my many mentors who have, without a doubt, helped me to develop a better business strategy and business plans. People who are more than willing to reach out and teach you what you don't know. I like to say, I don't know what I don't know. Um, so I'm very thankful for the people that have helped me to learn new things.
Perfect. I think there's so many important people in all of our lives. And when you can find mentors that you can learn from that can not only inspire us, but give us some inspiration on things that we ought to consider and do that maybe they've had experience with that may impact how we do things. I mean, there's no reason to like I said earlier, reinvent the wheel. There's a lot that people have done that we can
Exactly.
take their experiences and magnify them in our own environment and leverage to our benefit. So I like that.
Mm.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this up. I've got a few things that I'm going to share. I'm going to summarize, but then I'm going to come back to you for a closing thought. See if there's anything that you would like to just share as we wrap this up. But let me begin by, first of all, doing some special mentions from our sponsor, Universal Accounting Center. We happen to have a few things that I think would be very appropriate. One is with April, we were talking about offering a variety of services. And so there is a turnkey process to offering quality accounting services, and one of which is determining what those services will be for you. And so I invite you to actually check out a course that's available. It's a free course that is the Turnkey Business Plan for Accounting Professionals to help them determine what it is that they need to be doing from a marketing point of view, much like we were discussing here today. Also addressing pricing strategies. It addresses the services that you may choose to offer, really encompassing a lot of the things that we were talking about as we had our conversation. The second thing that I wanted to point out is Universal Accounting Center also has a webinar that talks about marketing, specifically utilizing such things as social media, which April suggested, and how we can do so effectively and automate the process to help simplify the marketing process to move people through a nurtured program to the point of becoming clients. And it's an excellent way of automating the process and learning how we can use the tech stack to accomplish that. And so I would encourage you to check out both those things there and see what you can do. And then because April mentioned Profit First, I'll put a bit of information about Profit First in the episode description as well. So go to the episode description, get there the information you need about the Turnkey Business Plan for Accounting Professionals, the webinar regarding the tech stack and automating your sales and online presence to get the clients you deserve. And then the third thing, that of Profit First, to learn what it is and how it might be able to complement the services you're providing to help your clients make profit a priority and help eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. Now, with that being said, as a summary of our conversation today, there are a few things that really stand out to me. First of all, it's April's faith. She really taps into and listens to that inner voice, and more importantly, uses that as she's not only marketing, getting to reach out to people that she perhaps didn't expect, but she shared also stories of how it was upon that she relied as she was offering services, that when she ran into situations or issues, she realized she needed to actually trust herself and do the research and offer the quality services that she now provides. But the other thing that I thought was interesting is she spoke of getting very specific in your marketing. She has a very particular service, being audit proof for her clients. She's niching down into the trade services. I think it's very relevant that each of us need to put some thought as to, is niching appropriate? Is there a particular industry that we can benefit if we chose to focus on them? It helps us magnify our marketing efforts because we're able to be more specific. It helps us become more deliberate in the services we're providing and become experts in what we're doing because we know that industry so well. And then with Profit First, she obviously incorporated that into her services to be able to really help her clients go beyond just getting financial reports. They're audit proof, and now they're making profit a priority. And I liked how that was tied in. The other thing that I thought was very important about our conversation today is she is obviously with her children doing homeschooling. She's very focused in her community and giving back. And I think she's balanced well her work with regards to taking care of clients, growing the business, with not neglecting those other responsibilities that she felt in her life. And I think that's something that many people juggle with and struggle. And she's obviously shared some great insights about how to actually balance that. Now, the last thing I'd like to point out is she was very good at pointing out how marketing is critical and it's something you need to do deliberately. And she gave some suggestions on things that we can do that are inexpensive and effective that I think we all need to consider. So with that being said, I thought we covered a good deal of topics that are very beneficial to everyone. So I appreciate that. So April, do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, first I'd like to say thank you so much, Roger, for having me here today. It was wonderful to speak with you, and I think that we really did talk about some really good ideas and different ways to expand your business and to help your business. For me, I think that my final thought would be to don't be afraid to be different in what you do, and never be ashamed of who you are. That's my advice.
Amen to both of those. We don't need everyone to be the same. We each need to be unique. And it's with that we can find other people that are similar and we can get the support we're looking for. So I agree. With that, let me just do another plug for the podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, I would encourage you to listen to our others as we speak to the experts and find out what is helpful to you to build a premier accounting firm in your area. And obviously, subscribe to the podcast so you can get notifications as to when we do our new releases of the episodes, which happens to be weekly. Now, with that being said, if you would like more information on how you can apply these principles in your business, or would like to ask some questions on how you can, in fact, build the premier accounting firm using the proper training, coaching, and support, give us a phone call. You can reach us at 801-265-3777 or visit us at universalaccountingschool.com. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day.